It was about -8 degrees this morning, that's about 17 Fahrenheit. Half expected to see dogs stuck to lampposts. If that's not a good reason to do winter idioms and expressions, I don't know what is. As mentioned at the start, this is all to do with winter idioms, and they're basically in 3 blocks. There's those to do with ice, those to do with snow, and those to do with cold. This is also based on a blog post on my website, which is linked in the description, which has a lot more expressions and sayings than this short video, so please feel free to head on over and check out the full list. So, talking about ice, the first block. If you're on thin ice, you're like in a dangerous predicament. If you imagine sort of the pond has frozen over and the ice is thin and you're walking out on it, and it could break through, it might not. It's a bit iffy. So you might, for instance, say if someone keeps coming in late to work, well, Tom is on thin ice, he better start turning up to work on time. Or to break the ice. Now this, if you imagine sort of people standing around in a social situation, it's a bit awkward. They don't know the people, they don't know what to say. They need someone to break the ice. And this means to initiate the conversation, to get things started. And this is a very British thing. The sort of stereotype is 2 people standing next to each other, not saying a word because they haven't been introduced. And the last one to do with ice is to put something on ice, which means you delay or postpone something. A non-winter version of this would be to put on the back burner. So for instance, you might say, oh, the car repair was a lot more expensive than I thought it would be. The new sofa we have to put on ice. In other words, we won't buy it now, we'll buy it later. A few idioms around the theme of snow. So if something is pure as the driven snow, this is a relatively old-fashioned expression for describing chaste and pure females. If you imagine sort of it just snowed and no one's walked over it, no cars have driven over it, it looks very untouched. And you can use this expression sarcastically as well with suitable eye rolls. And if you really want to hammer the point home, instead of describing someone as pure as the driven snow, you describe them as pure as the driven slush. Then you have the snowball effect, which, if you imagine a snowball sort of rolling down a hill, it picks up more snow and gets bigger and bigger. And this is the concept that is used here of something that starts off small and gets bigger with time. And it's often used to describe, for instance, sales that start off relatively small, but as public awareness increases and the advertising campaign starts, you'll see bigger and bigger sales. They say the snowball effect. And the last one in snow is if you're snowed under, you're actually overwhelmed with work, you have far too much to do. So for instance, someone might say, oh, my colleague is on holiday, I've got to do her work as well, I'm completely snowed under. This last block is to do with expressions involving cold. And if someone has cold feet, it means they lose courage. So an example might be, he was supposed to play a solo during the concert, but he got cold feet and didn't even turn up. Or cold turkey, this is what happens when addicts suddenly stop taking the things they're addicted to. Their bodies react very negatively and often involve things like vomiting, diarrhea, sweat, cramps, chills, all those kind of things. Not nice. And cold-blooded, or sometimes cold-hearted, is used to describe someone who is really emotionless and without feeling. Often used for, say, in describing someone who's just killed someone, a murderer, a cold-blooded murderer. And you might find some guys down the pub moaning about their wife in this way as well. And the last one to do with cold is my absolute favourite. I've left it for last. The expression is, it's cold enough to freeze the balls off a brass monkey. Now, before you start feeling sorry for all metallic simians out there, it actually allegedly, supposedly, comes, it's an old naval term, and I explain it, but there are some who say, no, this is nonsense. A monkey was a very common term in sort of a few hundred years ago in the British Navy. The guy who put the powder in the cannons was the powder monkey. You had a monkey's fist was like not that one. That one. Thank you. A monkey's fist was a knot used to put in the end of a rope to make throwing it from ship to ship easier. And a brass monkey was the plate where the cannonballs used to sit in. Now, if you imagine the seas being quite sort of with a swell or even stormy seas, you didn't want cannonballs rolling around and landing on people's feet. They're heavy and they would... No, you don't want that. So what they would do in this brass monkey, they would cut holes in it and sit the balls in the holes. So if you can imagine, if the hole was quite small, it would sort of keep it in for a sort of small amount of movement, but then it would fall out. So in order to prevent this, you make the hole bigger. And what they used to do, they used to make the hole almost as big as it could be without it falling through to get the maximum safety if the ship was tilting. And as we all know from school physics, if you have a metal plate with a hole and you heat it, the hole gets smaller. And conversely, when it's cold, the hole gets bigger. And the expression here refers to the fact that it was so cold that the hole would expand and the ball would fall through, hence to freeze the balls of a brass monkey. And like I said, there are some who say, no, this is nonsense, this is a modern folk tale, we don't need to pay any attention to it. But I like it as a story, so I'm going to tell it. So, which idiom did you like the most? Please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. And did you feel there was one that was missing? If so, please head on over to the website, it's probably there. That was it for this week. Hope you enjoyed it and learned something. If so, please let me know by clicking the thumbs up, and please subscribe for future updates. Till next time, bye for now.